Yeah, recording has started. So, like I was saying, the interesting thing about this guy is he created the entire JavaScript programming language in just like 10 days. Just 10 days, he created a very robust language. But because he had only 10 days, there are still some bugs in the language which are still which still exist right now. Okay, but you won't have to face them in your daily life. It's just a good to know, but it's not must to know or something. Another thing is, if you look at the programming community in general, people make a lot of comments on JavaScript. JavaScript is a very weird language and all of that. But the truth here is JavaScript is the most ubiquitous, most used language in the world right now. Using just one language called JavaScript, you can build almost anything and everything. And by that, I mean you can build either a front-end application, okay? You can build a back-end application. You can build a desktop application. You can build a mobile application. You can build an IoT device. And you guys might be knowing what this. You guys know who Elon Musk is, right? You guys know who Elon Musk is? Nobody knows who Elon Musk is. So he's fond of Tesla, right? So he also owns one more company called SpaceX. Do you guys know what that is? SpaceX तो पता है ना आपको? हाँ. Now this SpaceX, uh, they need a dashboard inside their rocket, right? On which they can perform so many operations, all of that. That dashboard is also built out of JavaScript. Okay, so even something as sophisticated or as complex as that is also using JavaScript. Not just that. Do you guys know? These guys know this TV show called Bandersnatch. Banders. Wait, this one, Black Mirror Bandersnatch. There is an interactive episode called Bandersnatch on Netflix. Okay, does anybody know about this? Nobody knows. Huh. Now the thing is, this is a very very interesting TV show. Basically, क्या होता है TV show पे? I mean, आप Netflix पे जाते हो, you start playing and that's it, right? लेकिन इसमें क्या है कि every episode is basically like a game. उसका मतलब है किसी like let me have a screenshot here, I guess. हाँ, तो we'll open the screenshot, okay? तो क्या होता है कि see every like when you start watching this TV show, you can actually you control what the player does in the TV show. यहाँ पर देखो, like what happens is if before this somebody comes and he gives some suggestion to this guy, it's up to you to either accept or reject it. Okay, not just this, like so many options will be are given to you throughout through the TV show, where you get to decide what the character does. It's basically like a game, but it's in a TV show. Okay, this was also built using JavaScript again. So my only point is that JavaScript is such a popular language. You learn JavaScript एक अच्छे से सीख लेना, and your future is sorted. Because see, everything else, right? Everything else that you'll be learning, like React, yeah, Angular, yeah, Vue, yeah, Bootstrap, whatever, Node.js, all of these things are actually based on JavaScript. So unless you know JavaScript very well, you will not be able to get better at the other things. Okay. Now this is just I've given you a very small list of examples of what JavaScript is capable of doing. But trust me, there are like so many other things JavaScript is actually capable of doing. All right. But yeah, we will start with learning JavaScript now. So I'll give you, okay, first we'll just go into the history of JavaScript, okay? Before learning JavaScript, whenever you Google about JavaScript, right, uh, you might come across all of these terms: JavaScript, ECMAScript, ES 2018, then ES5, ES6. And you might be wondering what the hell are all of these terms? What do they even mean? Okay. Even if you go on Google right now, if you type JavaScript, you'll find all of these terms as well. And you might be wondering, like, what are this? Uh, Rajendra Rajendra will do one thing. At the end of this class, I'll spend some time explaining about Bootstrap, okay? But I can guarantee you one thing, Bootstrap is not being used that much these days, first thing. And second thing is interviews where nobody asked you about Bootstrap. I guarantee you that. Having said that, I will take up some time to explain about Bootstrap, okay? Okay, done. So we're talking about JavaScript now. Yeah, so all of these terms you might come across very often. Now the thing is, see, JavaScript, like any other language, it keeps getting new features and upgrades to it. Okay, but it's not like how some softwares get their updates. Like let's say if you have a new Windows version, like let's say you're on Windows XP and you get a Windows 10 update. What do? You go to that website, you download it. Once it's downloaded, you start using that. Okay, but JavaScript का ऐसा नहीं है. JavaScript को you don't download it from somewhere. Okay, JavaScript जो है, that is implemented by the browsers. Okay, like let's say कि we have the Chrome browser, or we have the Firefox browser, or Edge, or Opera, whatever it is. All of these browsers, they implement JavaScript in their own way. Okay, now let's say कि अगर एक नया फीचर आया है, let's say कि राजेंद्र ने जावास्क्रिप्ट का एक नया फीचर उसने प्रपोज किया है. व्हाट हैपेंस इज एक बार वो प्रपोजल पूरा कंफर्म होने के बाद, अप्रूव होने के बाद, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द ब्राउजर्स टू इम्प्लीमेंट देम. अगर मैं क्रोम हूँ, I know that I have a big team, so I can let my team work on the new feature and implement it very soon. Like if I'm a very small browser, like maybe Opera or something, and I don't have a big team to work on all the new updates, because of which the browser might take a little bit longer to get the updates. The bottom line here is, guys, so whenever there are new updates, it depends on the browser कि वो update कब ready होगा. Okay, इसलिए we have to keep upgrading our Chrome browser का version, and only then you will get to use the new features also JavaScript में. ठीक है, but we'll get to what this means next. Now we are here. Okay, तो first let's try to understand कि like JavaScript का background वगैरह, what it is. Okay, basically क्या है ना, so there is an organization and it is called ECMA. तो ECMA बोल के एक organization है, which is this ECMA-International. Okay, this is the organization. Okay, let it load. This is an international group basically, which is responsible for all sorts of different standards, not just programming. Like ये जो group है, ये सिर्फ programming का नहीं, but it creates many standards for many different kinds of things. Like let's say कि so these people have standard for this thing called acoustics. Like acoustics को कैसे बनाना है, what are the standards, all of these things also these people have. Okay, but these people, see, ECMA is basically a international group which creates like standards for different things. Now what are standards? So I'll give an example. Okay, abhi I mean like very recently जब COVID वगैरह आया था, so we have this Ayush का this one ना, in the India में Ayush का council है. They give you many guidelines or standards of how to do something, right? Like Ayush, maybe they might, Ayush का ये भी था कि अगर if you're creating some Ayurvedic का thing, Ayurvedic का आप अगर if you're creating something, it has to follow these guidelines. Okay, those are the standards that the Ayush Council had created. Or similarly, ECMA जो है, it's an international group which creates like standards for different kinds of things, not just programming language. Okay, now let's say कि, but they also create a they've also helped us create JavaScript as well. Okay, basically see ECMAScript जो है, which we spoke about in our previous slide, ECMAScript जो है, if you look at it here, ECMAScript is nothing but a specification for a programming language. Okay, what does it mean? It means, see, it is basically like a reference. Okay, it is a big like a text document that says कि okay, like ये rules आपको follow करना है एक programming language को बनाने के लिए, इसको ऐसे behave करना है, इसको ये features रहना है. Okay, basically it's like a document that describes how a language should work, but it is not a language by itself. ठीक है, तो ECMAScript जो है वो सिर्फ हमको rules देता है, या फिर it gives us a big set of rules or a document कि एक लैंग्वेज को कैसे बना सकते हैं, लेकिन it's not the language itself. Okay, let's look at an example. If you go to ECMAScript, so we have all of this, but basically if you go to publish standards, we can go here. See, so I'll just open one of the ECMAScript standards. If you look at this now, see, this is basically what I was talking about. This is basically a very large document which has a set of rules that a programming language should abide by. Like अगर like इस document को देख के आप लोग आपका एक programming language बना सकते हैं. लेकिन if you look at this, observe कि like there is no code at all here. Like कहीं पर कुछ code नहीं है. ठीक है? लेकिन this is basically set of rules. That's it. Like आपको what rules can you follow and ultimately create a language? That's what ECMAScript is. Okay, so ECMAScript is a specification but not a language. तो वो ECMAScript को देख के what happens is all these browsers, right, they create or they implement the programming language called JavaScript, which listens to or which conforms to the ECMAScript का specification. ठीक है, basically what's happening here, see, ECMA जो है वो तो एक international, it's a council, right? This council creates multiple standards. One of the standard is ECMAScript. तो ECMAScript ये language नहीं है, this is a set of rules. तो इस set of rules को देख के we had created JavaScript का language. ठीक है, JavaScript is basically a language, a programming language that looks at the rules established in ECMAScript, and then it is if someone using ECMAScript can create a language or only. So thing is, ECMAScript use करके you can create a language, but nobody will use it now because ECMAScript is basically become like a language for JavaScript. But having said that, Pranjal, you can definitely create your own language using ECMAScript. Nothing is stopping you from doing it. Okay. Okay. Now the next thing I want to talk about is see, there is this committee called TC39. See, guys, all of these things you don't have to remember and all of that, but I'm just giving you kind of a brief about how JavaScript actually is. Now, what happens is, see, this committee is responsible for maintaining and updating this language specification. We spoke about ECMAScript ना, तो ECMAScript में जो भी updates आएंगे, जो भी edit करना, जो भी add करना है, वो सब कुछ ये these people they make those changes. Okay, like let's say कि जब भी एक नया feature approve होता है, it has to be first added to this specification. यहाँ पर add करने के बाद the browsers will implement it, and then that will be added to the JavaScript language. ठीक है, basically let's say कि अगर example जो दिया था, like राजेंद्र के पास एक नया, he wants to create a new feature. Okay, then he'll go to this committee. उस committee के पास जाके he'll tell that, okay guys, I have a new feature that I want to use in JavaScript. So वो पूरा history देके वो कैसे use करना है वो सब कुछ देने के बाद these people will again go through a set of like stages, like stage 1, stage 2, stage and all of that. So after all the stages, if the feature is the feature is approved, then this committee will add the feature to this document, or this document ka dekh ke Chrome, all the browsers will implement it in JavaScript language. Last slide we have is this one. So basically, see this ES6 जो है, ES6 is a very popular term, guys. Basically क्या हुआ था कि ES6 का मतलब है ES 2015. तो 2015 के पहले the previous version of JavaScript was in 6 years back. तो बहुत बहुत पहले था, and then बहुत बड़ा gap होने के बाद on 2015 is when they've released lot of updates. इसलिए ES6 is a very popular term because like I said, ES6 के पहले 2015 के पहले 6 साल के पहले they had a very large set of like features. तो 6 साल के बाद they have added lot of features. Like 6 साल में जो भी थे, whatever was there, they added all of them in this 1 year. Okay. But going forward, what will happen is every year the features are being released, every single year. So ES6 के बाद we have ES7, ES8 and all of that, but we don't call that anymore. We say ES 2015, ES 2016, 2017, 2018, like that. Okay. So yeah, so basically, Tandancy, JavaScript was very popular before that also. Lekin in 2015, what happened was lot of new features were implemented. But even back then, if you had to create a dynamic website or an interactive website, you had no other choice but to use JavaScript. So on the front end, JavaScript का domination है पूरा. JavaScript का monopoly market है यहाँ पर. Okay, so there's no replacement for JavaScript at all. At least not now. Okay, there's this thing called WebAssembly which is coming up, but that will take a while to catch up. But yeah, until then, JavaScript will always be the most popular thing. Okay. Now, yeah, so yeah, so what happened was in 2015, a lot of features were implemented, but after that, they decided that going forward, we will release new features every year. Instead of taking a long gap and releasing all of them at once, we'll release the new features every single year. See, good question, Pranjal. So I would definitely say React is way more popular than Angular. In fact, I'll prove it to you with some statistics. Okay, there's this thing called State of JS. This is a website again, where they do a survey of sorts and all of that things. But let us how to enter this one. This one. Let this load. Here, how to check the results? Survey is closed, but how do I check the results? Okay, so let's go to technologies. And if you look at this, there should be a trend actually, a React front-end frameworks. Yeah. So if you look at this, see, like React has always been on top. If you look at this, this is where React is currently standing. React के बाद you have Vue.js, उसके बाद you have Angular. तो React और Angular का बहुत बड़ा difference है यहाँ पर. Already, that is one thing. So basically, world over, React is definitely ruling right now. Like even if you guys know just React also, you will get many jobs and very high paying jobs also. Like look at me, like I've been, even if I'm a full stack developer, I'm getting hired just because I know React. Okay, so like React is definitely way more popular than Angular. That is one thing. And second thing is, any new company that wants to build a web application, they will by default choose React only. Most of the companies that are working with Angular, They're working with Angular because they started using that way before React was popular. जब React popular नहीं था, then they had started building on Angular back then. But आजकल you look at almost every company, guys. Like I can say like 7 out of 10 companies will choose to go with React, and especially the startups also will always prefer to go with React only. I've in all the companies that I worked for, Angular was very, very, very small part of the company, but everything else was mainly React, is what I can say. Okay, yeah. So anyway, let's go back to this. Yeah, so this is what JavaScript background is, guys. So basically, ES6 ke baad, it started getting very regular. Like every year, new features were being added. Okay. Now so after this, so after this, next thing I want to talk about is which uh, just like we used VS Code for both HTML and CSS, we are going to use VS Code for JavaScript as well. And along with VS Code, you guys also need to use the Chrome browser also. Okay, let's use Chrome browser by default, so that whatever I'm typing, whatever results I get, you get the same results. And next thing is make sure that all of your like 1 second. Make sure that all of you guys are updated to the latest version of Chrome. And for that, just go and click on the three-dot menu here, go to help and click on about Google Chrome. यहाँ पर अगर कुछ update है तो update दिखेगा आपको यहाँ पर. Okay? And make sure that you always that your Chrome is always up to date. The next thing I want to talk about is so I already spoke about this website called MDN, right? Module Developer Network. So this is again extremely important for JavaScript as well. Basically, we do not have an official documentation for JavaScript and all of that, but MDN is very close to that. The MDN is like your Bible for JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Now, let's say you want to learn about a specific method in JavaScript called map. Okay, you can just go and search for it. Like prototype.map. This one. Okay. Now, if you go here, it gives you a description, it gives you many examples, and then it gives you more details as well. Basically, just remember that whenever you want to go and refresh your memory about JavaScript, just come to MDN. Okay. Now that is the background about JavaScript. Now let's move on to the other. 1 second. Guys, just give me 1 second. I have to just open a PDF which has the next set of things that I want to talk about. Where is that? Yes, got it. Yes, let me start sharing again. Okay. So yeah, so we're going to start talking about the basic building blocks of JavaScript, and that is the values and variables. Now, see, values and variables are the basic building blocks of any programming language, not just JavaScript. I'm not sure if you guys have started to learn about what Python, but Python maybe like the values and variables are the most basic building blocks. And also, this is something that you will use in every file that you write. Every file will definitely contain variables and values. So we're going to start from that. And that is the basic building block of this programming language. Now let's see what our goals are for this one. So we want to start working with primitive types. Next, we want to understand let and const, what these are. And you want to also understand what the string template literals are. And finally, we'll start to work with some common operators and methods. Okay. Now, basically, what are primitive types? See, every language you will work with it has a group of types or different categories for data. Okay, they are like the DNA of your language. Okay, we need to work with information and store that information, and basically we need a way to represent the data in our code, whether it's a large app or a small app, right? That is what a primitive type actually is. Now if you look at this example now, see, if you have to say ki the stars, okay, we have this 5 stars, right? How will you represent the star? We can represent that by number, right? अगर एक स्टार है तो एक नंबर, अगर 4 है तो 4, अगर 5 है तो 5 नंबर, right? So we represent this piece of data using a number type, right? And next you have this thing, whatever you type inside this box, जो भी आप जो भी आप एक रिव्यू लिखोगे, that is in a textual form, right? Like whatever textual, that's a text type of data. Okay, so in JavaScript we call the text data a string data. Okay, that's a string. This is a number, this is a string. And if you look at this again, these both are again what they're text, which means they're a string. Your name and your email, both of them are strings because they're just a plain text. But if you look at this thing, this checkbox right here, this checkbox, see, when we check it, we say that we agree to it. When we don't check it, we mean we disagree. One more way of thinking about it is it's this checkbox is either a true value or a false value, right? This checkbox is a true value when we have checked the box, and when we have not checked it, when it's unchecked, it's a false value. Okay, that type of a data type is actually called a Boolean. Okay, let's again let's revise once. See, I was talking about these types here. I'm talking about the primitive types. We discussed about number, string, and boolean. We'll discuss about these two things a little bit later, about null and undefined. But let's start talking about this example again. See, we can represent these stars using a number. We can represent the review or name or email using a text or string. Remember that we call the string type, and we call it text type as a string in JavaScript. And lastly, we have this checkbox right here. And this checkbox is nothing but it's either a true value or a false value. And for such kind of a value, which can either be a true or a false value, is called a Boolean. Okay, a Boolean is nothing but it's either a true value or a false value. Now let's go down. That's what basically JavaScript is. Okay, JavaScript gives you a way to represent these very basic types or categories of values by using the primitive values. Okay, so JavaScript gives you a way to represent these very basic types using these primitive types. Okay. First we're going to start learning by using the Chrome console. Okay, we will not go with actual files so far. We'll go to VS Code a little later, but before that I want to start typing in the Google Chrome console. Now the way you go to Google Chrome console, just open any tab here, open a new tab, right click karo, go to inspect, and inspect me. This is your developer console. Okay, this is a Google developer console which we already spoke about. Now here, if you go to this console thing here, okay, this is basically where you can do some experiment. Agar if you want to type something which is like temporary, you can use the console for that. Now remember कि when you're actually going to build something real, like जब आप लोग एक असली project बनाने वाले हो, you cannot use this because this is only a temporary place where you can experiment stuff. If you want to quickly type something, अगर जल्दी जल्दी कुछ देखना है आपको JavaScript, you can use this thing. Now this thing is actually called a REPL. We call it REPL, REPL. Okay, what is REPL is, see, REPL का full form है read, R for read, E for evaluate, P for print, and L for loop. So read, evaluate, print, loop. What this means is whatever you type inside the console, जो भी आप लिखोगे console पे, that will be read by the console. Console will evaluate it, and then it will print it out. No matter what you type, it will print it out always, and it loops. So loop का मतलब है it will restart again. I'll give a quick example, okay? Let's say कि मैं सिर्फ एक number type करता हूँ, and I'll hit enter. What happened is, see, once I type the number and I hit enter, in the Google Chrome console, it read my input, it evaluated my input, it printed it out, and print करने के बाद it has looped. Looped का मतलब है कि ये statement खत्म हो गया, so we are starting from scratch again. I can type like 100 here now. फिर से वही होगा. I can type 12 plus 12. Okay. This is so what happened is it has read the input, it has evaluated the input, and then it has printed the input and then looped over the input. Pranjal, so see, data types can be of primitive type and something else. But let me give an example here. So data types can be of two types in JavaScript. First is a primitive type. Now the second one, we'll talk about it later, like not now, but I'll just give you what that example that actually called objects. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Abhi ke liye chhod do. It's a more complex topic, but just remember that the data types ka matlab hai ki every single piece of information you can associate a data type to it, and data types are of two types, and we are learning about the primitive type right now. Make sense, Pranjal? Okay, thank you. Now we are back here. So basically, this is the thing. And after you type everything, if you want to, अगर आपको like clear करना है, just click on this thing here. ये जो है आपको this thing. And last thing I want to talk about is you can actually like resize or remove this console window. यहाँ पर आपको you'll find a 3-dot menu here. Just click on that, and you have multiple options यहाँ पर dock side. Left को रखना है, फिर right को रखना है, या फिर नीचे रखना है. It's totally up to you, and you can even undock it. You can remove it like this also. Remove it, you can move it wherever you want. Okay, this is one more thing you can do, but I am going to put it at the bottom for now. Okay, yeah, so this is about the console. Okay, now next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to start talking about the most basic thing in JavaScript, the most basic like primitive type. It's called numbers. Now JavaScript basically has only one number type, guys. Like you do not like see there are some programming languages like Java which has int and float and double and all of that. JavaScript has no types. JavaScript has only one number type, and that is it. You can use the same type to represent either a positive number, a negative number, a whole number, or decimal numbers. It's totally up to you. Okay. Important point here is there are no, there's only one type, one number type in JavaScript. Okay, you cannot give multiple types. It's only one number type, which will accept all kinds of numbers like this. Okay, let's try to give a few examples. Like I said, so you can either give a positive number, you can give a negative number, you can give some decimal number, and you can also give some whole number like this. Okay, you can give an odd number. Okay, you can even type an even number. You can type whatever number you want. The only thing is there is a limitation of numbers also. Like you can't, like write a very large number. For example, you cannot have 1.000009 नहीं, ये भी काम कर रहा है, ये भी काम कर रहा है. हाँ, if you look at this, what happens? See, beyond a certain point, वो उतना precision नहीं लेगा. जावास्क्रिप्ट बोलेगा कि नहीं, I can't keep that kind of precision in memory, because what happens is, guys, every single type you type out a number, na, that number is actually stored in the JavaScript का memory. Okay, and इसीलिए it does not store that much of a precision number also. Okay, so basically, if you have a very large decimal number like this, which has a very big precision, that will not work. You can even use the clear. Wait, there's one more way to clear the console. That is console.clear. Okay, like this, or you can just do this. Okay, and that was about numbers. Now we'll talk about some simple operations that you can perform using numbers. Basically, see, all the basic operations that you would expect, right? You have that in JavaScript. Like you have addition, you have subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo. Let's talk about what modulo is also. We'll talk a little bit later. But before that, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about this thing called comments. Now, see, we spoke about how to add comments in HTML and CSS, right? So in JavaScript, you can add comments in two different ways. We'll look at the first way today. We'll look at the second way a little bit later. The first way to add a comment is a single line comment. अगर आपको सिर्फ एक ही line का comment add करना है, then just do a double slash like this and add any comment. Add any comment here, like this. Okay. Whenever you do a double forward slash, this entire line will become a comment. This entire line is now a comment. Okay. Now let's try to do some addition first. Let's say I want like 1 plus 1. Okay, I get the result here. And let's say I want 100.5 plus 199.98. Get the result. So basically, JavaScript knows that when you're trying to add a plus symbol between two numbers, you want an addition. So JavaScript does the addition for you. And you can even do subtraction as well. Let's try it out. That subtraction, let's make 100. Okay, let's just make 67 minus 9, 58. And let's also one more thing. Let's see, when you're here now, when you hit the up arrow on your keyboard, whatever last you had typed, that will come back. When you hit the up arrow again, वो history में जाएगा. So it keeps going up. जो भी आपने पहले लिखा था, you keep going back to that thing. Okay. That is about the up arrow in your console. Now the next thing I want to talk about is, so one more subtraction we'll do for now. Let's do subtraction. We'll do 8754 minus 7698, whatever. Okay, you get the result like this. And you also have multiplication. And let's say 100 into 5. And you also have 78 into 987. You can even do negative numbers also. Let's say minus 986 into maybe 67. Okay, you can even do negative numbers as well. You can even do decimals also. 54.5 into 98.7. Okay, you can even do that as well. Yeah, that was about the multiplication. But next, let's move on to division. Division, what it gives you back is the quotient. Okay, division always gives you back the quotient, guys. Like let's say 100 by 5, is 20, because 5 into 20 is 100. But this division always gives you back the quotient, okay, not the remainder. But if you want a remainder, what you should do is use the modulo operator, which is this one. This is called a modulo operator. Modulo operator is If you want a remainder, you use a modulo operator. Like let's say I want to get the remainder of 4 modulo 2. Okay, remainder is 0. But if I do 4 by 2, okay, this is the quotient. This is a remainder. Very simple. We'll do one more thing now. We'll do what? Maybe 87 modulo 8. We get 7 because 8 ones are 8 and 7 is the remainder. But if I do 87 by 8, we get 10.875 because that is the quotient. Okay, remember that. Now, whatever you learned in your like school, right? With regards to the order of the operations, the same thing applies here also. Okay, like let's say ki agar if I have 10 plus 5 into 4, why is it 30? Because this multiplication has a higher priority than the addition here. So it will be like 5 into 4 is 20 plus 10 is 30. Basically, whatever rules you had before in your school and college, that is the same rules apply here also. Like let's say okay, if I do 10 minus 5 divided by 5, why is it 9? Because division has a higher priority than subtraction, and 5 by 5 is 1 and 10 minus 1 is 9. Basically, yeah. So Bodmas rule, yes. Bodmas rule is what you can like call it. Yes, that is correct. Now, next let's talk about a special kind of a value called NaN, which is not a number. Basically, it represents something that is not a number. One example is, let's say 1 by 0. Basically, 1 by 0 gives you infinity, by the way. And one more thing is, even if you do like minus 1 by 0 also, you get infinity. Minus infinity. These both things you will not use very often, but just remember that this is what you get. Now let's talk about what is NaN. Like not a number. Not a number ka matlab kya hai? Basically, see, whenever we're trying to like do some calculations which do not result in a number, that gives you back not a number. Like for example, if I do a string like this, and if I do by 5, see, so I cannot do a division of a string with a number, right? I should do number with a number, that will work. But if I'm trying to do some stupid thing like this, which makes no sense, then I get back not a number. If you go to MDN and search for not a number, let's search for not a number. Okay. Or is it, it doesn't have a proper example. It doesn't have proper example, but basically, yeah, the ultimate thing is when I'm trying to do a calculation which is not really a number, that gives you back not a number. Like in this case, this is the thing. Like Aditya by 5, that will give you back not a number. One more example is these both things. Like if we do 0 by 0, let's do 0 by 0. 0 by 0. 0 by 0 का कुछ मतलब ही नहीं है ना? That's why JavaScript gives you back not a number. And if you do 1 plus not a number, okay? Yes. Observe in this case that see, not a number जो है, not a number, it basically is a data type, but also a value. वो data type है, लेकिन वो value की तरह भी use कर सकते हो. Like in this case, it gives you back a data type. In this case, it's a value. हाँ, तो Pranjal, see, different programming languages have different rules that they work with. Like why it works in Python is because they wrote Python like that. There is no other reason. Also, see, every programming language is different. Like Java and JavaScript are very, very different. So there are certain things that work there but won't work in JavaScript. So yeah, so Python and JavaScript are not the same. That's why certain things work there, but it won't work here. Make sense? Okay, guys. Then I have a quiz for you now, and after this quiz, we'll end the class. Okay. So I'll scroll down, and I want you guys to tell me what the answer is. What is the answer for this, guys? So Pranjal says 4.5. What about the others? What do the other think? Okay. Any other answers apart from 4.5? Let's try to see what the answer is. Okay. So I'm saying 1.5 plus 1.5 into 2. It's 4.5 because, like I said, board mass rule. Board mass rule में क्या है? We have multiplication. Multiplication has a higher priority. इसका मतलब है this will be evaluated first. 1.5 into 2, 3 है, and 3.1.5. 1.5 plus 3 is 4.5. Okay. Any questions here, guys? Shraddha, any questions on this? Okay. So next question is, what is this evaluate? By the way, guys, one more thing I forgot to tell you. So sorry. So let's say कि अगर आपको, if you want to find out the exponent or the power of something, okay? Like let's say कि मुझे 2 square जाना है, so I'll do 2, and when you use 2 stars, this means 2 power 2. Let's say I want to do 2 to the power of 7. So 2 to the power 7. Okay. Let's do again 45 to the power 5. This is the answer. Okay. इसका मतलब है कि when you use 2 stars, that is basically nothing but the exponential. No, Rajendra, we do not use for no. See, if you want to use the cube now, let's say you want to do 5 cube, you will do 5 to the power 3. This cube. Got it? Let me so let's write it here. See, when you use 2 to the power 3, what this means is sorry. So 2 to the power 3. Okay, this is what it means. Clear? Okay. Now coming back to this one. By the way, guys, so now the rule, like the board mass rule jo hai na, I'll give you one more thing. So we can call it EMDAS, where E is the exponential operator and M is the multiplication operator, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Now this is what we actually, by the way, this is actually in programming is PEMDAS. This is what you need to remember. Okay, remember this. This is the order of operations. Okay, so first it will be the brackets. P is for brackets, E is for exponential, which is this thing. Okay, and M is multiplication, D is division, A is addition, and S is subtraction. Okay, now let's go back to this thing for let's go back to our quiz now. Now you guys tell me what is the answer for this. 16. Okay, let's see what we get here. So we have 10 modulo 6 into 4. Sorry, to 2. Sorry. Perfect, guys. That was very quick. Very impressed with you guys. Great job. So next is, what does this do? We spoke about this just now, actually. Rajender, you're wrong. Shraddha, you're wrong. Rajender is right now. And Mahesh was right in the first statement. Very good job, Mahesh. And guys, I'll tell you what is happening here. Okay, so you guys are getting confused. See, 0 by 0 will give us back what? What does just 0 by 0 give us back? NaN, right? No, I had mentioned that anything plus NaN will be NaN. Like you give anything you want, like give 18 or whatever you want, plus NaN will always be NaN. That's why what we are checking here is we're checking 200 plus 0 by 0. We know that 0 by 0 is not a number, and 200 plus not number will be not a number. That's it. Now that was all about the mathematical operations. So any questions here, guys? Any questions on this? No questions. Okay, great. So I think that is all I have for today. Actually wait. Let me open this thing called PEMDAS. I'm not sure if P is actually P is parenthesis. I'm sorry, I forgot. Let me open this actually. So P is nothing but parentheses. We call this brackets. And E is exponential. Then we have multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Okay. All right. So I think I'm done from my end. So tomorrow we'll start talking about this thing called variables. Okay. Start talking about variables tomorrow. Yeah, Rajendra, I'm so sorry. We'll talk about Bootstrap right now. Okay. Okay. Now, first of all, what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap. So I'll tell. Basically, it's a framework for CSS. Look, abhi React kaisa hai na? See, React is a framework or a library for JavaScript. Okay, like JavaScript ko, like if you do not want to use JavaScript in its purest form, if you want something which will work on top of JavaScript, you can use either React or Angular or Vue. Lekin, in a similar way, if you actually want to add some styling to your application, if you want to add some, lot of styling to your application without actually adding the styling by default, then you can actually use Bootstrap. Okay. Bootstrap, what it does is it gives you a large number of class names that you can directly add to your project, and that will add the styling by default to your application. Okay, I'll give an example. Okay, let's just open this. By the way, see, Bootstrap is a library or a framework that you can use in your own project. Now, the way you can install it is if you go here, see, this is what is called as documentation. Okay, this is their website, which you can go inside and look into it and learn how to start using it. Okay, now there are different ways you can actually install Bootstrap, but we are going to install it in a very simple way. Okay, if you go and click on get started now, here, see, it gives you how you can get started with Bootstrap. So if you see here, it's saying copy paste the style sheet link to your head before all the style sheets to load a CSS. Okay, we'll do that very thing. Okay, I'll click on copy, and first of all, just go and create a new folder here. That's called Bootstrap, and I will add the Bootstrap folder here. And right now we have nothing. So I'm just going to create one next to the system. Now observe that I'm not going to add any styles.css. Okay, I am going to use all the styles from Bootstrap only. I will not add any styles by myself. Now here again, like I said, always just do a exclamation mark, hit this one, and then add Bootstrap here. And they're saying this copy this line here. I've copied it, come back here and paste it right here. Okay, now I've pasted this link from their website. Now what happens is, as soon as you paste this link now, let's try to run this. First of all, I want to run this app. तो ये लोड हो रहा है, लोड हो गया. If you go to it's an advanced है, लेकिन let's try to understand what I'm trying to say. Now if I click on reload, if I click on all, so यहाँ पर ये bootstrap का एक CSS फाइल डाउनलोड हो चुका है. Okay, मैंने क्या किया, मैंने इस ऐप लाइक मेरे VS कोड से मैंने आई वेंट टू गो लाइव करने के बाद मैंने ये डेवलपर टूल्स ओपन किया है. यहाँ पर मैं नेटवर्क पे गया और मैं रिफ्रेश मारा. रिफ्रेश में मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव सेलेक्टेड ऑल हियर. यहाँ पर ऑल देना चाहिए. यहाँ पर इफ यू ऑब्जर्व, वी हैव डाउनलोडेड द बूटस्ट्रैप का CSS फाइल. तो सी, in our folder we do not have a CSS file anywhere, but bootstrap is giving us a CSS file which is a very long file. So just observe, so many files are there. Okay, now here if you observe something, see, we have so many classes that we can use. We have form control LG, or actually let's go and search for BTN. We have BTN check, and we have so many classes in BTN hover. We have so many classes here, which means because we have added this link here, we can start using any of these classes within our files, because all of these classes are available within our file right now. Now, how do we know which class name does what? Okay, the easiest way is just go to their website. In the website you'll get to know like what it actually does. If you, let's start with a simple thing. Let's start with maybe customized. Yeah, maybe not customized. Let's start with content. Let's start with a very basic thing, buttons. Okay, if you look at this, they're telling you, see, all you have to do to get these styles is just add that particular class name like this. That is it. What I'll do, see, I'll just go ahead and I'll add a button now. Let's add a button. Let's say button. Bootstrap button. Okay. This is the button currently, right? Now, if I want to add some styling to this button, normally I will have to go ahead and create a CSS file and add it there, right? But I don't need to do that anymore because I have Bootstrap here. Now all I have to do is just go and add a class, and the class will be BTN and BTN primary. Okay, first I'll just add BTN. Okay, let's see what happens after adding BTN. See, BTN add करने के बाद the styling has already been applied. Styling कुछ ऐसा है कि the font has changed, the font family has changed. इसको there are no, I mean, doesn't have any background or anything. But when I hover over the button, look at my cursor, it already changed to pointer. Okay. Now if I want to add a prime, so I want to add this style. Okay, अगर मुझे ये style add करना है, I have to add this class name also. Let's go ahead and add the class name and hit enter and see what happened. Directly added the style to my button. मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं है. All I did is I just added one class name, bus. And because I've added this class name, the styles have been applied already. Now let's say कि मुझे blue color नहीं चाहिए, मुझे ये red color चाहिए. I have to just add the BTN danger का thing. So I'll just go ahead and I'll add this thing here. BTN danger, and I got this style added like this. Okay. Pranjal is asking, how can I change the properties of the return class? What do you mean by that, Pranjal? I didn't get your question.
सर जो बूस्टरअप फाइल के अंदर लिखा हुआ है ये प्रॉपर्टी से उस क्लास का, तो वो क्लास हम चेंज कर सकते हैं कि नहीं? जैसे अभी डेंजर में रेड आया कलर, तो उसका कलर मुझे ब्लू करना है, तो हो सकता है कि नहीं वो?
Okay, I'll answer that. And the first thing is, if you want to use a blue color, तो ये danger add करने के बाद blue color add करना makes no sense. What you should do is, अब bootstrap में जाके पहले देखो if whatever options they have by default, does it meet your requirements or not. अगर वो आपको requirements meet करता है तो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर वो meet नहीं कर रहा है, then you can obviously override the styles. I'll give an example how to override this style, Abhi. So, okay, see, we added this here now. Now, so I'll create a new file, styles.css, and I will add, so link it here, styles.css, and I'll go to my styles, I will target the button, and yahan par I will add the background color to be, let's say, blue. Button. But the class is winning because, okay, let's add one more class yahan par. BTN custom. Let's copy this. Let's add it here. And this time it's blue color. See. Okay. So if you want to override the styles, what you can do is you can just add one more class of your class name and target that in your statue like this and add the color like this. That's it. You can even remove the button if you want to.
सर जो bootstrap फाइल में जो डिफॉल्ट क्लास है, जो प्रॉपर्टीज है डिफॉल्ट में, तो उसको जाके हम एडिट कर सकते हैं कि नहीं सर, वो पूछ रहा था मैं.
हाँ, उसको एडिट नहीं कर सकते हो तुम. नो, यू कांट एडिट लाइक दैट डायरेक्टली. वो नहीं हो सकता है, वो उनका है ना फाइल उनका, सो वी कांट चेंज दैट. Okay. And Mahesh, you can create new classes, but they have to be in your own file like this, like how I created right now. Okay. Now I'll just remove this though, because I don't want to add any custom styles that I want. I'll just remove this. We're back to this. Now, if you observe something on, जब मैं hover करता हूँ, when I hover over the button, थोड़ा opacity भी change हो रहा है. Just observe something. ये थोड़ा अभी light है, dark हो गया. Light है, dark हो गया. So all of these styles also, they're coming by default from Bootstrap. मैंने कुछ add नहीं किया. I have to just add the class name here and it's done. Now this is what Bootstrap does. Bootstrap, बस यही है Bootstrap, nothing else. Okay. All you have to do is just keep adding classes. That's it. Like I'll tell you one more example. Let's try to build an alert. Okay. Let's say कि मुझे ये alert चाहिए. So I have to just see. Let's copy this entire thing. Okay. And I'll paste it like this. If you observe, there's nothing. ये alert भी नहीं चाहिए actually. मुझे role भी निकाल दूंगा. So all I have here is I have a div. Div में मैंने दो classes दिया है बस. Let's see how it appears now. It's like this. Okay. Just by giving these two classes, we have just added some styling. Rajinder, see, it is good to know how it works, but honestly, it's not that useful anymore, because once you start working with React, there are much better libraries, first of all. And second thing is, interview mein to, nobody will ask you about Bootstrap at all. Nobody will ask you about Bootstrap. Like, yeah, it's good to know. Like, let's say कि अगर आपको एक website बनानी है and you don't have the time to add all the styles by yourself, in that case, you can reach out to Bootstrap and just use the class name directly. So it saves a lot of your time. Mainly यही है कि it saves a lot of your time and you don't have to think much before adding the style. So that is the big advantage. Now let's add one more example. Let's go to, let's try to create a card. ठीक है, मुझे ये card बनाना है. So I have to just add this. That's it. Let's copy and paste, and I'll try to add the card here. So I don't need an image, so let's remove the image. And here this will be Marvel Entertainment. And that's it. If I go here, the card will be created like this. So see, just by adding the class names, you just created a card very quickly. Mahesh, you don't need to learn CSS very deeply, honestly. Like CSS, जितना हो सके उतना पढ़ो, लेकिन जावास्क्रिप्ट यू डेफिनेटली हैव टू बी वेरी 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 थरो। लाइक जावास्क्रिप्ट आपको invest as much time in JavaScript as you possibly can. ठीक है, bootstrap भूल जाओ, bootstrap is not required honestly, but yeah, learn JavaScript very very well. So yeah guys, this is what bootstrap honestly is. लेकिन bootstrap में the biggest reason why people still use bootstrap is this thing called layout. Layout में you can create a grid layout very simple, very easily. Like अगर आपको like एक responsive website बनाना है, it just helps you create that very quickly. That is the reason why people still use Bootstrap. But again, like I said, it's not really required anymore. So don't take much stress on this at all. But yeah, Bootstrap is all about adding the classes. That's it. Bootstrap में जो भी classes है, वो अपने markup पे add करो. That's it. There's nothing else. Okay. So Rajendra, is that clear? Bootstrap ka? Or you want to know anything else? Okay, guys, if there's nothing else, then I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Good night, sir.